What's up, y'all? My name is Ian Edwards, and welcome to the Soccer Comic Rant. And Man United has a new coach. There was an international break, so I took the break too. And so now we're going to discuss Ruben Amorim, his first game, and United's first game under him, the 3-4-3, and it just what we thought of it. We're going to talk about Southampton almost beating Liverpool at home. This is, Southampton is playing good, but they ain't getting the wins. And we got Lee Hudson here, Southampton fan, stand-up comic. I want to ask you how you're feeling about the game, but we'll get to that. How you feeling?
In general, I'm good. If I take football away from it all,
I like what you do. Like you were at a basketball game, and then the week before you were at the Nas thing. So you have coping mechanisms.
I got nice distractions.
Yeah, you create distractions. So yeah, that's good. That's smart. We're also going to talk about Man City losing again. I think their fifth time in a row that Pep has lost a game. It doesn't even tie. He just straight loses. And Martin's going to join to probably soak up the flowers from that. But also we want to, talk about Spurs helping Arsenal win the league. They're like, we can't win it, so let's take points from their biggest adversaries. And it's like, hey, can we parade at the bottom of the bus with you, Arsenal? If you do end up catching up with with Liverpool and passing them, and then hey, Liverpool, same deal. Like, we'll hurt the teams that you need to beat to win the title, but we know we're Spursy. We know we can beat the big teams or lose the week after. So we'll talk about that. There's a game with Man United versus Everton coming up, so Cristiani might join, and Alex is going to join to rant, and we're going to see how much he's turned on Pep, and we're going to enjoy that. We're going to have our own Arsenal Man City fan TV guy on here, like whining because Man City lost a few games. And here's Martin. So we're going to admit Martin. And Martin, stand-up comic and actor. You've seen him in a ton of movies. His lighting is terrible, bro. You look super hostage style. I know you got a ring light. You're an actor. Turn that shit on.
I did.
Did you point it at you or at the paintings? Like,
no, I pointed at me. It's pointed.
Are you sure? Clean your lens. I think it's your lens. Like, just get a tissue and wipe off your camera lens. It's so blurry, and it doesn't look great in the clips. Yeah, those are some great paintings, though. Yeah.
You didn't see the best one.
I mean, we can't see. We can't see anything with that lens.
There you go.
Yeah. So yeah, just wipe off that lens. Point the ring light at you. That looks like a ghost. Thank you. Which Prussian princess was that?
A British princess.
British princess, yeah. They all look the same.
Yeah.
So you still wipe off the thing. You at least use your shirt and wipe your camera off.
I did. There's nothing else I can do, really.
No, did you wipe the camera? On your
but
computer.
It's a ring light. It's not gonna work.
No. That's way better.
Really?
1,000%.
Yeah.
Do it again, but with your shirt. Do it with your shirt. Oh, now you made it worse. Use your shirt, bro.
The first time you wiped it, it doesn't look like there's fog in your apartment anymore.
Yeah. It was like, what? Yeah, you look like you were in London for a second there. Now that's way better. All right. So we're just doing the rundown. We'll talk about Mo Salah and the statement he made about his contract. We don't know the full context of it, but do we need the full context to have fun with what he said?
So we're recording already?
Yeah, we're recording already.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. And also, what else? Anything you guys feel that is important to talk about? So we're going to wait, Martin, to talk about Man City because Alex is going to join us in a few. So we'll just start with United and Amarin, the 3-4-3, and, like our thoughts on the game.
You guys didn't talk about Southampton yet.
No, we're going to get to Southampton.
Okay.
So that's Southampton, Liverpool. That's next. And then probably when Alex joins, we'll get into. So as far as United and Amarin, this has been a weird week for me as a United fan because I've never seen, probably since Alex Ferguson, other pundits that didn't play for Man United or news people that normally hate on Man United or ex-players. I've never seen them praise a coach of ours before and say, this is the one that's going to turn Man United around. And I don't disbelieve them, but I was like, hey, this is going to take some time, And it's funny, after the results of the match this weekend, they all changed their mind already and started dumping on the team. So that's hilarious and expected. And I was like, why were you all so hyped? This is going to be some work. As far as Amarin being the right coach, I hope he is. I don't want to be a rebounder and just be just go from coach to coach. I need him to definitely prove himself, but I'm on board with him 1,000% until there's nothing I can do and he's got to go. But I hope he doesn't, and I hope he does great. But I do kind of believe in him. As far as United and the game against Ipswich, I've watched a bunch of Ipswich games this season, and one of the Ipswich games I watched was the opening game they had against Liverpool, and the atmosphere of the fans when a big team comes to play their players, and because they've had a longer time in their system and with their coach, and they know what they're doing, and we just got ours, and I knew we were going to have this new system playing for the first time. I knew this was going to be a difficult game. Ipswich has beaten Spurs, and Spurs has beaten us, and they've tied with Villa, up at Villa. So they've been denied. They've been playing better than the amount of points that they have. They've actually really done decent, and they've run a lot. They're one of the highest running teams in the league and the hardest workers, and that's one of the areas that we are very deficient in. And plus, we have a new system, and I knew players were going to be and Amarin said it, thinking about their positioning and where they should stay or where they should be, when to go and when not to go. And those are the moments that in that pace of football, somebody could take advantage of you. But we opened up banging with Ahmad. I'm glad he made Amarin starting team, and he's very effective and was one of our best players. And I wish they would let him play 10, but they put him as one of the wing backs. But he's also he doesn't have to defend as much as the wing back on the other side. So I like that. But, for the first time in that system, he created chances. He had a dope assist 80 seconds in to Marcus Rashford. And we're like, all right, this is starting great. And then, Ipswich, I gave them their praise before, and true to form, Hutchinson, Delap, Schmutz, and a few of those guys who I identified as danger people, just from matches I've watched with them, started piling on and holding onto the ball. And we had a tough time getting out of our half, and they kind of dominated the rest of the first half. And then they scored. Hutchinson just, I saw that goal again right before this podcast, and it was so good. It looked like I reacted as if I just seen it for the first time. It was just such a surprise of a goal. He just made it out of nowhere. And
deflection though.
Yeah, that too. But it was so fast, and I think it deflected off one of our Majouari.
Mm.
You think it would have went wide if Majouari didn't hit his head?
I think it was going lower if it didn't hit his head.
All right.
So I'm not sure. I think it would have been easier for Onana to get to it if it hadn't have taken the deflection.
All right. And speaking of Onana, he had a game of games. He's slowly on the low, been having a good season, but because our results aren't exactly where everybody would want them to be, it's kind of being ignored. But today or yesterday, he was like, no, I'm having a great season. Look at these saves. These are some amazing saves, like game saving, point saving saves that Onana made. And I think he's good passing the ball out the back. He waits to the last minute, takes in the pressure, sucks in the press, and then gets the ball out to our players, either wide or, find somebody up the pitch. So second half, we dominated the ball possession, not chance possession. They still, I think, out-chanced us. But overall, like, I respect a lot of teams in the league because I watch them. A lot of New United fans might as well. It's Ipswich. They just got promoted to the league. We should run them over. I never looked at this game like this. So 1-1 was fine to me. Like, I expected Ipswich to like have a good game, and I think they did have a better game than us overall. But just for players learning a system. And what I did like about this game was our bench. Like, I don't think Ten Hag has had a bench like this, like, in probably since his first season. Like, I'm going to try to go to what we had on the bench. And I was like, and another thing I like about Amrin is that, and Rude did this too, they sub early. They don't be like waiting until 20 minutes and 10 minutes. They sub early. So we had Mount on the bench. We had Haaland on the bench. We had Zirksee on the bench. Luke Shaw was on the bench. Ugarte, Malacia, Anthony, Kobe Mainu. So it's like, that's a great bench. So there's a lot of injured people. They're back. And we started with Eriksen and Casemiro in the midfield. I guess I can understand why he did that, but I can't wait for these players to get back into playing shape and to be the starting midfield, younger people, like, with more energy and who are creative. And then maybe you can sub in Eriksen and Casemiro when teams are being worn down a little bit. And yeah, that's basically, Marcus Rashford's getting a lot of heat because he scored the goal, but he ran around a lot at the beginning, but he can't sustain it. And then it looks bad when an academy player can't sustain the pressure or the press or the intensity when you look at the Ipswich players doing it. So yeah, I'll take the 1-1. I don't think it's bad. And I just remember one of our first games against Eddie Howe when we went up to play during the Ollie era. We went to play Newcastle, and it was an ugly game, but you could tell by their intensity that something was happening up there, and it was a tie, and it was a game we were supposed to just win easy. But Eddie Howe, early doors, started like getting the players to do more than they were under the regime before them. So, this is a score that I expect, and I expect us to incrementally get better. This is our pre-season, mid-season with our new coach. And what are you guys' thoughts?
Well,
I've said,
sure, go.
I've said before that, Ipswich are an awkward team to play against because of how organized and how aggressive they are in terms of their pressing and stuff. And McKenna's such a smart coach. Like, he probably would have been watching like tapes of sporting games, trying to figure out how that system looks. And yeah, they pinned you guys in sometimes with that press, and like you say, big saves from Onana, a couple of the really close ones from Delap that could have turned that game completely. So I think it's definitely right to be pleased with the point, and also, like you say, preaching some perspective as well in terms of this is a new manager. And it's not like he just came in and just kept the status quo and the same system as Ten Hag. He's asking players to do something very different, which, it will look different, it will feel different. And Ipswich is a hard play. You'd want a different game as opposed to Ipswich away for the first game with the new manager, trying to play a different system. Because was Dalot right of the three? And
Dalot was, he was right at the three. He's one of the back back three.
And then like Mazraoui was left wing back.
Was left wing back, and
Ahmad on
a striker is playing right wing back. Yeah.
Yeah, and like Mazraoui's a right back, an attacking right back, and Dalot is either a right back or a left back. And yeah, so you had like sort of square pegs in round holes a little bit, I think, because Amorim is like, this is my system, this is how we're going to play. So yeah, that like to come away relatively unscathed from a game like that while the players are still learning the system is definitely not a disaster. It'd be interesting to see how long this bedding in period is and who he likes for certain roles, because I kind of get the feeling that this lineup was basically who was the fittest and most available players, and I'm going to put you out there in the system the best I can without it looking exactly how he wants it to look. I think the starting 11 will probably look so different in about a month.
Because it's right after it's injuries, people come back from injuries, and right after the international break. So you can't play like a lot of your starters, unless you're like a madman like Bruno, who just never wants a break.
Exactly. So yeah, all in all, I think 1-1's not a disaster. It was hard to read too much into it. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it develops over the next few weeks as you get players coming back to fitness as well. Shaw and Malacia and people and Mount coming back into the fold. Euro's going to be back soon as well. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it shapes out. The biggest thing for me, though, if I was going to be concerned about anything as a United fan, is what the hell is going on with Zirksee. Because something just doesn't look right there. Like that one chance he had where he just had loads of time to line it up and then punted it like an NFL kicker up into the stand. But yeah, just I don't know. The guy just looks off. I don't know what it is, because he scored a lot of goals at Bologna last year in a underdog 15. Team that were punching above their weight in Serie A. 15 goals for Bologna is an achievement. And obviously, some people saw something in him, but I've not seen it yet, because he has been a couple of flashes in his United career where he's made like nice little link-ups kind of thing, like his one-touch play kind of thing has looked nice, but then other games he's not looked interested and slow and just not really connecting with stuff when he's shooting and that. And so yeah, it's a bit of a strange one. I don't know what's going on there.
He's been tentative. You're right. It's not like your eye test is lying to you. He started out playing for us more sure than he has in the last few games. So I feel like fans, a lot of things in life is energy. And sometimes fans and the media don't know how much they affect the things that they want to work for them. And if you have no chill, if the person you want to do.
Oh, I think you've frozen.
Okay. Then I'll make my point, I guess.
Yeah, go for it.
For that. Well, first of all, Zirksee, I've heard that he is being pitched as a part of the trade for Osimhen, right? That he's being offered apparently as a part of the payment to get this guy in the winter. So they're trying to get rid of him already. Well, here's the thing. We can discuss about this game, and obviously he looked very displeased, the manager, because the truth is, when you make a change like that at that level of the club, the manager will come. He will, of course, reassess. He will, of course, have some ideas, but he will bring his own players at the earliest convenience. So to even discuss this team is very premature, because this team will be very different in January and even more different in the summer, because he will completely change the players. He'll definitely get rid of. I would assume some of them, especially the older ones like Casemiro, Eriksen. I don't think they'll stay, and maybe he will even get rid of some of the younger ones like Garnacho. I'm not sure if he's the type of a player, the player he would like to have long term. I think he would rather have someone who's better in defending in that role, because we can see that he likes to play 3 at the back. So I don't think Garnacho will be in his plans unless he improves defensively. But yeah, I'll expect 4 new players in January and probably 5-6 more in the summer, and it will be a completely different team. So it's
And that's impossible.
Yeah. Let me finish. I didn't say a word for 5 to 10 minutes. So
12 minutes.
Yes. So I think this team will look completely different. I think you will maybe keep a couple of players and then buy a lot and sell some, and build it for his system. And this team was built for Ten Hag. The risk that you have to live with when you change managers is that you have to change players, and that's why sometimes you don't change a manager. But once you do, and you bring someone who is at that level, someone who was apparently attractive to other clubs as well, you probably have some sort of agreement with him and his team that there will be changes, the personal changes, following up the appointment of him as a manager. So I could see that with him playing with this system, some of those players just don't fit that system, and they'll be gone.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is impossible just because of FFP. Like, you can't buy 4 or 5 players in the January window and then 4 or 5 players in the summer window. So what?
If you sell 4 or 5, you can buy 4 or 5.
We'll never get the money in. That's their worth. You know what I mean? Like, you just can't do that. You know, they might be like maybe 1 or 2, maybe in the summer. I don't think he's even going to get anything really done in the winter window. I think you need to look at like our bench and our academy. Like, there's been so many injured players that you don't even realize we have on the team. Like, I would say that Mount was bought by Erik Ten Hag last season, and I don't think he played 10 games for Erik Ten Hag. And Mount in the system as one of those 10s will work. I think they can also try Garnacho as one of the 10s, because we're going to be playing 2 10s. Or as a wingback, we can mix it up. We can give players breaks during games, like use the subs more. So if somebody like busts their ass in the first half, whether they play good or not, you can sub them out. I don't think it's as critical as you think. I think every player on our team has won something before.
Yeah, but if it's not working, you got to make changes. You know, it wasn't working, so you change the manager. Now you have to change the team. You know, it's just, and plus there were already rumors which are completely fair, and I think that's what Ten Hag did also as a manager. He brought a bunch of players from his former club. There are rumors that he wants to bring some players from his former club, like 4 or 5, and that's okay. And that's how you do it. You know, like, you've got that right. If you come and you want to make those kind of acquisitions, you know, he probably already mentioned that in one of the first meetings when they were negotiating the deal, that he wants to bring some players from Sporting. So I wouldn't be surprised if 2 of them will join in January and probably 2 more in the summer.
Yeah, they killed Erik Ten Hag for that. The media did. And if our coach does that and it just seems like it ain't going to work, even though the media don't care. You might warn the media and tell them, hey, this is going to take a little work, which is what he's going to do. It's going to take some time. It's a process. The media don't care. It's like when they want to turn the narrative their way, they turn the narrative their way. And even in Ten Hag's defense, even though he's gone, a lot of British pundits were like, he bought all the Ajax players, right? But can I tell you where some Ajax players that were coached by Ten Hag are right now? If you look at Liverpool, which is top of the league, there's an Ajax player who they say De Ligt failed at Juventus and Bayern, but Gravenbach failed at Bayern. They wouldn't even start him. He's the one of the best players for Liverpool. Timber, they say is a Ten Hag player. He's working out fine for Arsenal. And I think there's another, even Gakpo, he's not a Ten Hag player, but he's from the Dutch league, because they were just like shitting on Ten Hag trying to get Dutch players. But I think there's other Dutch players doing well for other teams in the Premier League. So it's not, so I feel like, I don't think Ten Hag picked the worst of his players to join Man United. I just think now that he's gone with a new coach, the Ajax has a total football theory of football, and I think a lot of these players will be fine. But we'll see. We'll know in the future. Anybody else got anything to say? Alex, you got anything, or you just saving it to curse out Pep? You're on mute, which you should stay on, by the way.
No, nothing to add. I didn't really just watch the game briefly.
All right, cool. Let's move on to Southampton versus Liverpool, and what a blown opportunity by Southampton. And I was rooting for you, I was rooting for you, and I really don't think it's a blown opportunity. I think that's a lot to ask for you guys to go up there and give them a fight like that. But yeah, I felt for you. Great seats. I saw your videos, and it was you were so close. It was like VR. You were in the game. But tell me what that felt like.
Yeah, I mean, the missed opportunity was going to Wolves before the international break and doing nothing. Because that's the game where we should be trying to do something. Like the games against the real top teams, they're a free hit essentially. But we've been performing better in our free hits than we have against some of the the ones where we need to be getting something.
So you're like Spurs.
A little bit, yeah, just even worse. We went to Arsenal away and we took the lead, and then they rallied late on and turned it over. But we went to Man City and we played well for long periods of the game, but obviously went down 1-0. I like to think that we softened City up for everyone else, though. We showed everyone where the weaknesses were. You're welcome, Premier League. But yeah, this one it was an interesting game to watch, and it's the scoreline obviously suggests that we were unlucky. We were in the game. We gave them a game, and we did to a certain degree. 3-2 it looks like it's close, but if it wasn't for Alex McCarthy in goal, who was deputising for Aaron Ramsdale in the first half, he made some crazy saves that we could have been like gone before half time. We could have been like 3 or 4-1 down by half time, but we had the luck. He made the saves. The goal they scored though was just the first one. The fans all booed after that goal went in because it was so stupid. The one where the keepers rolled the ball out quickly to Fernandes, who's already got 2 players right next to him, and then he plays the ball back to Downs, who tries to hurriedly get rid of it, and then it falls to Soboslai, who just puts it straight in the corner. And it was complete suicide. It was football suicide. Like, we don't need to concede that goal. And some of the fans blame the manager, but it was interesting hearing what he said afterwards, where he took responsibility for it, but he said, I need to be more clear with the players when and where to play quickly. He's like, I asked them to play quickly, but he's like, I haven't been clear enough, because he goes, he fully acknowledged, he's like, in that moment, we need to take the sting out of the game and slow it down, not try and play quickly there. He's like, I've asked the players to play quickly, but he's like, they need more guidance on when and where, which is worrying as Premier League footballers, because that should have been a given, really, that you don't roll the ball to a player who's got 2 people pressing him immediately. So that goal was just stupid. Like I said, the fans were booing after it went in, and rightly so, because it was just like Premier League players. I would be upset if like I was coaching kids and they did that. It's a bit more understandable, but yeah, just complete suicide.
No, it's not.
And then,
kids should get it right too.
well, depending on what level they're at.
All the levels.
I think we got lucky on the penalty, because I think the challenge, the contact's initiated outside the area, but then I think the referee leveled that one up when we should have had a penalty in the second half, when Adam Armstrong got cleaned out by the goalkeeper, who didn't even touch the ball. So I'm not going to whinge about that decision, because I kind of think we got the other one with Tyler Dibbling in our favour. So yeah, those sort of cancel each other out. And then the other goals, like, I don't know what the keeper was doing on the Salah goal, because he's just come running out, and like, you just don't, like, you don't go for that unless you're certain, because like, if he stays in his goal, there's still so much for Salah to do if he stays in the goal. I just forgot, we did go 2-1 up before that, and that was a great goal on the counter attack, just the way we shifted the ball through the pitch, and that was a really nice feeling. But I looked up at the scoreboard and the timer, and it was like 58 or 59 minutes, and I'm like, we ain't gonna hold on to this for half an hour. But yeah, the Salah goal was stupid, and then the penalty was unfortunate, but it is a penalty, the one against Sugawara, when he sort of chested the ball onto his arm. So I can't argue that decision. And Yeah, like we played well. We put a lot of effort into this game, and I like that we created chances against a strong team. There were positives there that we didn't have at Wolves, but I don't think we deserved anything from the game, if I'm really honest.
Yeah.
We played well. We put up a fight, but on the balance of play, like I say, just from that first half where the keeper made so many saves for us, we could have been out of sight. So yeah, it's annoying when you go 2-1 up though. That you feel like there could be something from this game, and even a point would have been helpful to us just to try and stay in touch with the other teams. But we're in the position now where we've played 12 games. I'm trying to have a quick look at the table a second because I've got a little stat. Yeah, we've played 12, we've won 1, and we've drawn 1, and we've lost 10. No team with that record after that period of time has ever stayed up. It's never happened before. And I kind of feel like it would take something phenomenal for that record to be broken, and this isn't a phenomenal team. So, I'm accepting our fate. We'll see where we go from this. I'm still going to back the team and support them. I'm going to 3 games in December. I'm going to Villa away. I'm going to Spurs at home and West Ham at home. So I'm still going to be there. But my expectations are now super low. It's just, can we not get like the lowest points record or something like that? We just need to try and aim for those targets now. Because like I say, no team has ever stayed up from this position, and I don't think we're going to be anything different.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah, I watched the highlights, and I have to admit that unfortunately, sometimes even when you watch big tournaments and the team is playing with heart, playing with ambition, but then the bad teams make those individual mistakes, and so unfortunately, it is a bad team. I mean, what happened in the first goal? No, it is. What happened in the first goal? I'll walk through. You already did, but I'll walk through those 3 goals from my own perspective. The first goal. Like, how is it possible that who's the guy who played that ball without even looking where he's playing the ball? Who was that?
No,
the goalkeeper or
the defendant who didn't clear the ball and just passed it to the guy.
Yeah, Downs was the player who cleared it, but he wasn't trying to hit it there. He was trying to put his foot through the ball because he had been played a hand grenade under pressure on his own.
That's horrific. Byline. You just the ball out of the field. If in that situation, you don't do that. That's just such a simple mistake. You can't play the ball without looking at where you play the ball in your own penalty box. It's just like first year of training. You learn that. And that was such a horrific goal to concede after 3 really good chances created, like hard work in the midfield and creating chances, and then you make a mistake like this. Unacceptable. And I think it also comes down to training sessions. Like. You got to train that kind of scenarios, and that was unacceptable. I agree with you. On second goal is the goalkeeper. He's not the first goalkeeper. I think Ramsdale is out for like 2 months, right?
Yeah, he's got a fractured finger.
Yeah, which the same happened to Vicario, by the way. I found out that Vicario will not play in the next month or so.
Yeah, so, ankle with him.
Just when you started to like Vicario, he's out.
Yeah, he's out, and he's on my fantasy team. I don't know what to do now. But that was a horrific mistake by the goalkeeper. I remember I talked to many times when I was still in sports. I talked to Jan Tomaszewski, the Polish goalkeeper who stopped England in Wembley in 1973. And he always said the same thing. Either you stay or you're 100% sure that you're going to get to the ball. You can't stop in the middle and hesitate, You either are sure that you get the ball or you stay. And what he did was criminal, like going halfway and then what? So that's his goal. 100% it's his goal. It's the goalkeeper's goal. So the first, it's a blunder from the guy clearing the ball. Second is the goalkeeper. And the third one, what is he even doing in this situation? What is he doing? I mean, like that there was no danger. There was no immediate danger. So it pretty much like 3 goals for Liverpool. None of them was really from Liverpool being a better team. None of them.
Yeah, it's like, I feel like either, like Martin says, you guys train. Your weak area is losing the ball in the back and panicking. So either, you make a lot of mistakes or give up a lot of goals, panicking in the back. So either the players need Valiums or during the week, you put them under pressure in training and like force them to make those mistakes, take those mistakes out of them. Because all 3 goals, Fabianski, like you said, had a great game, but the angle he took on that Salah approach.
No, that's McCarty.
McCarty, my bad. Like the angle he took on that was baffling. Like, it's like, hey, there's the goal. Do you want to take a shot? It's yours. After the game that he was having. So that was unbelievable. And then the penalty was like, a guy, just let that go. Just let that go. It's not your ball. You try. Just see what happens after that. So yeah, I feel like you guys are just not great playing out the back, and your coach wants to play out the back. But
if I can just counter that with one thing, is that we do play out from the back really well.
Right.
The problem is we do it well 90% of the time. And sometimes with some teams, if they play out the back, when they get it wrong, it doesn't result in a goal. That 10% of times when it doesn't go well, we always concede. Because I sat there and there were times when we were popping it around their forward line and playing into the midfield, and we did it against Man City at the Etihad as well. Like, we played through Man City's press quite a number of times, but the times it lets us down, it really lets us down. And that's the issue, is that the players we've got aren't good enough to do it fully consistently. But it's what the manager has deemed, the style that he's going to be wedded to. So when it does go wrong, it is going to cause us to concede. The one,
I feel like you guys just got to train on it harder. Then I feel like by the end of the season, you might be experts in it, but by then you might be relegated.
I mean, I don't know what's going on the training ground, because we did it all last season as well. So I'm sure they're working on it. But the problem is, when you work on it in training, you are only as good as the players in your own squad. Because, if our players are working on playing out in training, they're playing out against our players pressing. They're not playing out against Mo Salah pressing, or Darwin Núñez pressing. So yeah, you can only get pushed as hard as the other players in your squad, and that's something I found through coaching as well. Like, you can prep for certain teams, but it's not always possible. Like, there's some teams who, because quite a common thing in football is, if you prep for a certain opponent, you put out in the opposition team you'll do like an 11v11 in training to like walk through scenarios of how the game will look. And if you're Southampton, the opposition will be the players who aren't in the starting 11 and some under 21s, under 23 players in the opposition. Which, if you're playing a cup game against a lower league team, that's fine, because it will represent the standard probably. But if you're playing against, Man City or Liverpool or Arsenal at the weekend, they're never going to look.
Then you got to make the numbers uneven. Then you got to have like 5 players trying to play out the back against 7 players, just to recreate the atmosphere. Like, Arteta would turn the music on from Anfield. Like, do some Arteta shit.
They got battered after they played that music, though.
I know.
But who's to say these things aren't happening in training? I don't know what's going on behind closed doors, and it's just the mistakes are killing us. But it is, we are where we are. Like I say, no team has ever stayed up from where we are right now. So I am where I am with it. One of the bright spots for me, though, was I enjoyed, for 60 minutes or however long he was on the field for, Paul Onuachu finally getting a start. You were hitting me up in the DMs about it.
Can I just what the fuck is going on? Like, Martin, did you see this guy? This guy, first of all, he's like the black Peter Crouch, but thicker. And when I say Peter Crouch, he has the height and the touch of Peter Crouch. So, and he can drop back into the midfield and take on 3 people, spin them around in a mixer, and then Harry Kane it off to like a runner, like who's
not just Harry Kane it. He was throwing the no lookout on the.
And I was like, you haven't been using this? You got this guy, and you ain't been using him? You deserve all them L's. Like, this motherfucker was amazing. I was like, United should try to get this dude. Like, yo, you have to go back and see the first half. And then in the second half, I don't think he got injured. I just felt like, hey, my heart is giving out. This heart is too small to carry this big ass body around. And I think they had an arrangement where he said, when you get tired, just let me know, fake an injury, and I'll sub somebody in. But this guy was the best player on the pitch against Liverpool for their 58 minutes. It was amazing.
The manager said afterwards, he said he was gassed.
Yes, that's what it was. I knew it.
He said it was fatigue, but he's not really started games because. So I'll give you the story of Onuachu. So we signed him under Nathan Jones. Jones didn't sign him; it was our directors who signed him, and we signed him from Genk in Belgium, which is the club where like De Bruyne and Courtois came from. We signed him from Genk. He'd been there for 4 years. He scored 79 goals in 114 games for them. Like he was like top scoring in the Belgian league. Really good record. He played in Denmark before that and scored a bunch of goals. So we signed him because Nathan Jones wanted to play quite direct. We signed him, and then I think within maybe 2 weeks of signing him, Nathan Jones was fired, and we put Ruben Selles in, who wants to play like 4-4-2 or 4-2-2-2-2, press like the narrow pressing system with small mobile players. He needed like pressing aggression. He played Onuachu a couple of games. Like we beat Chelsea at Stamford Bridge with Onuachu in the team. But then he disappeared out of the team, and we were playing, Armstrong and Walcott together up front.
Where was he? Where do you disappear to when you're that big?
I don't know. But then last season, Russell Martin came in and decided that he wasn't what he wanted for his style of football.
Winning?
And said, yeah. Well, they sent him out on loan to Trabzonspor in the Turkish league. And I'm just looking now, he scored 15 goals in 21 games there, which is unreal. Like Trabzonspor were trying to buy him in the summer. Like every time our team posted on social media, it was just flooded with comments from Trabzonspor fans saying, sell us Onuachu now. Even if it wasn't even related to him. It was crazy. And then eventually, because Trabzonspor did what a lot of Turkish teams do, they offered another loan, or they offered like a really small fee. And we were like, nah, we signed him for a lot of money, so you got to pay that, given that he scored so many goals for you, or you can't have him. And in the end, we were like, no, you can't have him. You're not going to pay the right price. So we kept him. And yeah, he made some little cameos for us. And the fans were like, yeah, there's something there. But Martin, for whatever reason, has just been reluctant to play him. He came off the bench against Arsenal at the Emirates and was tormenting some defenders there. He was turning people inside out. He was doing what he was doing in this game there.
Right.
And all our fans were like, oh shit, like start him. And then he just went back to the bench. He came on for like the last 10, 15 minutes against Man City away, and didn't really get much of the ball in that game, to be fair. But Martin even said after this game, he's like, I probably should have been starting him more. And it's like, like the stadium was going crazy every time he held up the ball and spun a couple of defenders and then laid it off. Like everyone was like willing him to
against
do
the
well.
top team in the league.
Yeah,
and you have a player like that, like the complete opposite touch of Lukaku when Lukaku was first in the Premier League. like dead the ball, turn, spin, look up. Pretty amazing. And dribbling. They should just call his name Dribbling. Had a good game for y'all too.
Yeah.
And Fernandez,
Dribbling,
Armstrong
and Onuachu were my sort of top performers in that one.
And your goalkeeper until the last minute.
Yeah.
All right. So now we covered Southampton versus Liverpool, and we actually had a podcast derby, and that was Alex, Man City fan who just joined stand-up comic, versus Spurs Martin, and somehow Spurs beat City. Was that at City? It was at the Etihad. You know what I like about games 4-0. And I don't know, Alex got something to say, and I know Martin gets something to say, but I was listening to expressions, and sometimes you can't hear what fans are singing during the game, but he sang something that the Spurs fans were singing during the game, and it's like, is there a fire drill? is there a fire drill? Which lets me know the City fans were leaving their own ground because that's how bad Spurs beat the crap out of them. Is it that like you guys got fondled in the Etihad, like you got priested, and it was embarrassing. Like when the fourth goal went in, I said, "This is a comprehensive beating." But before I let either of you go, I just want to say this: to be fair, that game was either a 4-0 Spurs game, it could have been a 4-0 Man City game, or it could have been a 4-4 Spurs versus Man City game. Like Man City definitely created the chances to be in this game. It was a non-finishing clinic put on by City. With that, I don't know what Foden was doing. Like he hasn't been practicing his finishing, and Haaland used up all his goals during the international break to try to get his team higher up in the Conference League, and he should have saved some for this game. But what are you two's thoughts on this? Who wants to go first?
I'll go first because I have a couple of points, both about Spurs and the City, and but like kind of tactical points. Well, first of all, it's a very good result for us, but I disagree that that they could have scored 4 goals. No, I think we're better. They could have maybe scored 1 or 2, but we were a better team, and we played our we played this game very, very well. And I think here's the thing about Angie that could be frustrating sometimes, but I think he finally tapped into something, and I hopefully he'll learn from this game. Whenever we play, the only way to make up for our offensive fullbacks is to have 2 defensive midfielders. And when Sarr and Bissouma are playing together, it's always better. We didn't even have our normal center backs. We had our substitute center backs. We didn't have our regular center back. We didn't have Romero and Van der Ven. It was Davis and Radu playing as center backs. So we had reserve center backs. And against reserve center backs, Haaland and his friends couldn't do anything. Against reserve center backs, which we don't really have a very good reserve. Davis, who is not even a center back, was playing a center back. So for players like the whole beauty of football, and it reflects also on Southampton and other teams, is every player has strengths and weaknesses. The best players have way more strengths than weaknesses. But the job of a manager is to play to his players' strengths and to hide the weaknesses. So Porro is a very one-sided player, but what he does well, he does very well. But what he doesn't do well when he's late, you gotta have 2 defensive midfielder that can spread out and cover the ground. And we didn't do it. He tried to fit in every single good offensive player that we have. We have 4 very good offensive players. He tried 5, and he tried to play all 5 of them. And he finally learned, I think, from the Ipswich game that this is impossible. You can't play all 5 offensive players at the same time. So he sacrificed Johnson. Johnson came off the bench, scored a goal, and that's the way it should be. Timo Werner also came off the bench, and that's the way it should be. You can't play all of them at the same time. So this worked. Now, on the other hand, and what I'm going to say is very controversial. I think what makes Lewandowski a better player than Haaland is that Lewandowski can do 2 things. He can score the goal, he can finish, but he can also play football. He can also...
And he's Polish, and you're not being biased at all.
No, I am, but at the same time, it's also facts. I was actually listening to...
But they're way younger. He's going to learn more later.
Let me finish making my points, then you will comment on it. So I was...
Sorry, Martin.
No worries. I was pretty all week, and I was able to spend some time watching some things. I watched the interview that last week Lewandowski gave to Rio Ferdinand. Rio Ferdinand came to Poland for the national team break, and he did a YouTube interview with Lewandowski that is very, very interesting one. And he kind of they talk about some specific football stuff, and yeah. And what actually Rio Ferdinand said, Lewandowski can do both. He can link up and he can score, but he can also play football. Haaland cannot play football. He can only score. If he doesn't score, there's nothing else he'll do. You play 10 against 11. That's the truth. And that's why he's not an elite player. He's an elite scorer. He's probably the best scorer or one of the best scorers in football. But he's not an elite player because if he doesn't score, if you have a good system thrown at him, then... Here you go. And he suffered. Let's not forget one thing. Since Rodri stopped playing, Haaland stopped scoring. That also tells you something. And in the past, when the City were unbeatable, they had, Dario Silva. They have all those creative midfielders. Now they're kind of struggling with that. And you can see they lost 5 games in a row. If I'm not 5 or 4, 5 games in a row exactly. And this comes to the fact that they don't have enough creative midfielders. So the opposition defenses are sagging off Haaland. They play 1-on-1 because there's no danger. They don't have to double him. There's no danger. He can beat you 1-on-1. If he doesn't get the ball, if he doesn't run into the space, he's not gonna do anything.
Let me just retort, and then I'll let Alex jump in. First of all, one of those games was another one of those games they lost was against you guys, right?
Yeah.
And they didn't play Haaland in that game, so you can't blame him for that loss. It was a Carabao Cup game. But also, don't erase Haaland's career at Dortmund, where he did link up. And the only reason why your argument has any validity now is because he's following the instructions of Pep. Pep wants him in the box or like threatening those people on the line, the back line, to keep them honest. Like, there's no way Haaland isn't coming back to help with build-up if Pep wants it. Players do what Pep want. So I wouldn't just make a blanket statement and say he's no good at this thing. This is what Pep wants him to do right now. And if Pep wants to change it, you'll find out how good of a footballer Haaland is. Because I disagree with you just based on I know that Haaland's just doing what Pep wants him to do. But Alex, your team lost. First, let me just say, Martin, congratulations on the win. Let me say, Martin, congratulations. And thank you for helping Arsenal have a chance at winning the title that they're trying to throw away.
Liverpool has 8 points lead. What are you talking?
But thank you for helping them too.
Oh, come on. They have
why you think you're going to win the title? You're only helping teams that are better than you win the title. And hopefully they'll let you ride on the bus with them.
Liverpool win the title.
If you're taking... Well, do you think we think Liverpool will let you ride on the bottom of the bus with them since you helped them so much? We'll see. But go ahead, Alex. What's your thoughts on your 5th loss in a row? Your team stinks.
Yeah, I think like everything you guys both said, both of you guys, I agree on both. Like what Martin said, what you said, I agree on both. I don't know exactly what's wrong with City. I think like every player is playing. I mean, we have scored 4 goals over the past 5 games, so 4 goals, and we have conceded 14 goals. So it's a combination of every player's underperforming. I don't know if it was like them being burned out, and maybe that's why Pep have to come out and say, "Hey, I'm actually staying 1 more year. So if you don't shape up, you're not getting. You find a new team." I think like that's the reason why he announced it. Like, I mean, he was gonna announce it, but I think like that's probably why he's like tried to boost morale. And it looked like City did okay. I think like I like the start of the game. I think like the start of the game went well. Could have been different. Haaland puts the first one in. I think Haaland finally had a chance immediately. But yeah, I think like it's just been like a bad performance from every player. Like I don't think there's been one player from City that can say like, "Hey, you're doing well." I think like it's just been a consistent. I don't know. I feel like I've been there. I think we all played here before. When sometimes when you see everybody kind of like playing at a certain level, it kind of rubs off on you. The same when people are playing better, it makes you better. It makes you eager to get in there. I think like we're just being run by teams that are. I think like the team started respectfully. I'm not really counting the Carabao Cup. Like the loss, I think like we wanted to lose the game. I think we wanted to throw it out. But after that, it was just been a bad run against. We got outplayed by Bournemouth, and they were just way more physical. They were just like they look stronger, faster, better. And then I'm like, okay, that's probably like it happens. But then we go to Sporting and same thing, and we go to Brighton and same thing again. But the crazy thing part is just somehow I feel like on Sunday, City plays Liverpool, and we might beat Liverpool. That will be scary to me. Like if you just show up on Sunday and you play your best, because it's like, what just happened in the past 4 games? Like, I don't know if people, I don't know what it is, to be honest. I watch these guys, and they just look like if somebody went on FIFA and changed the ratings from the players instead of having like, I don't know, like the ratings 85, whatever the FIFA means, to like 70 or something, because they're just not they're all downgrade at the same time. It's just not just one player, it's just throughout. Like Walker looks so bad. I think Walker's probably his last season at City. Our center backs,
Werner
they're making silly
humiliated
mistakes.
Walker. He humiliated him in the fourth goal. That was a pure humiliation. He just
but everybody
he just turned on the like from third to fifth gear in his car, and Walker stayed in the second one.
Yeah, but don't think your player's special. That's been happening to every player. It happened against Bournemouth. It happened against Brighton. It's just every player that Walker has faced this season, he's looked bad.
Only two. It was Timo and that race that he lost to the Fulham guy, to Traore.
And against the Sporting, like that guy, the guy that you guys are gonna get, that's the striker, like just out completely. It made him look bad too. I think like Walker used to rely on speed and strength, and I think like that's kind of going away. And now I think he has to be. Also, he's making silly mistakes. Like sometimes he's letting players on side, and I'm like, I know you. That used to be you letting people on side and catching up to them. Don't do that anymore. I don't know, man. It's just been bad, and I don't know if we somehow we're gonna turn around against Liverpool. But if you were
let me ask you a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me ask you a question. So, is this injuries? Because De Bruyne came in, and this is like, how many games has he missed this season? And I said at the end of last season that De Bruyne will continue to get injured because he's not getting any younger. So you remember that? So I said, City has to do something. This is going to be a treacherous year for City. So, and then on top of that, Rodri's out, like proving how much he deserved to win the Ballon d'Or, like because the team kind of looks very shaky without him. And so how much of this is injuries, City not having a great transfer window, and winning fatigue? You know, you win so much, you're like, what do you tell someone who's won 4 Premier Leagues and the season before this, or the season before the one before this, they want a treble? Like, how do you convince people, no matter how good of a motivator you are? Even Alex Ferguson would have a season or two when they didn't win, you know, and then figure out how to remotivate and regenerate the team into a winning team. So like Pep is human, Man City is human, and also is it also the 115 charges preventing City from spending money because they want to stay within the laws of the Premier League, which they ignored before. So it's kind of like everything is happening at the same time and affecting this team now. How much of that you think it is?
I think like it's a little combination of every little thing that you mentioned. I remember when you mentioned about De Bruyne, because you did. I remember you when you said like, "Hey, De Bruyne's only going to continue getting injured." And last year, De Bruyne got injured, and somehow when De Bruyne went out, we had a run of every game. We won every game without De Bruyne. So it almost looked like the team was better
because you still had Rodri. But now you got no Rodri and a quarter of a De Bruyne.
I think like basically back like last time when that happened, everybody kind of like instead of downgrading, like basically Julian Alvarez stepped up, Foden stepped up, the Bernardo was playing magnificent. So all the players kind of like just went up. You know, their play level went up. And during this week, actually, something got leaked. I don't know if that was purposely like or it was public information, but apparently, Chiki, the director of Man City, said like we had a really bad window after we won the treble, because apparently like there were some players complaining and they wanted to bring more players, but there was already players complaining about game time, like about not getting, you know, like you just won the treble, but you didn't play those games and stuff. So people were already kind of like that's what apparently when that.
But that's the type of attitude you want.
Yeah, But
that's a winning attitude.
So instead of basically doing like the heavy recruiting, they just kind of like brought players who were not really. Yeah, I won't have to read it again because like apparently said like they wanted to bring more players, but instead of that, they just kind of like kept the team as it was, and that's when I feel like maybe bringing different players, like renovating the squad, that would have been a good window. So yeah, I think like it's been a combination of multiple things, and the winning mentality. Yeah, is you're 100% right. How do you tell someone? How do you tell somebody to go win again when we have won it, when we just keep winning and winning? The only thing I guess, this is probably I'm probably gonna end on this comment, but I think like personally, and I think like probably some players and maybe like even Pep, I think they're all gonna be so mad about basically not winning this league because I feel like the level, like I think like this league is wide open. I think like even though Liverpool is 8 points ahead, I don't think this Liverpool that went and won like almost won everything. Like I think like there's levels, and I think like this Liverpool is not the same Liverpool as with Salah and basically like and when they had Mane, and Arsenal it looks a little bit off. Chelsea looks better. So I think like this league is more wide open than previous leagues, and I think like that's what is gonna suck losing this league this year, because I think like if City would have just been average as kind of like as last year, we would have been walking with the league.
How is it open? It's an 8-point lead. It's open to finish top 4 for a bunch of teams, including ours and maybe Ian's even, if they can get on a winning string. Although I doubt.
I'm talking more about performance wise, and I think you might
matter.
maybe
it matters. It's what matters is getting points. Well, that's what matters.
You might. Fortunately, maybe on Sunday, if City decides to just play the just a little bit like before, you'll see it on Sunday. You'd be like, oh wow, like this Liverpool team is not as good as.
Let me put it this way, and I'm a huge admirer of City, what they did in the last decade. If you guys lose to Liverpool, that's over. If you lose this game, this is over.
But maybe that'll motivate them to win it.
I think currently, like the team feels like it's over, but perhaps we show up on Sunday and we walk away, we just beat Liverpool, and we're like, wow, this is.
Oh yeah, no, if you beat Liverpool, then it's back on. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think I think like the league is like open because I don't think like there's a team above everyone else. Like before,
if Liverpool beats you guys, it's gonna be not open for sure.
Of course, of course. But even then, I think like when we played Liverpool before, I was scared of going to Anfield. Like I was like, no way we're gonna go to Anfield and beat Liverpool. I think like this season, like it's not. I don't think Liverpool is as good as before. But the same with Arsenal. I think I wouldn't be surprised if somehow Chelsea ends up making a run, or even Spurs. Man, you might win. You might have a win. You might win the league too.
Too inconsistent.
Yeah. I mean, one thing I would just say for Alex, you said something about you guys only scored 4 goals, but it's not like you're not creating chances, and sometimes it just comes to putting away those chances. Like even the game against Sporting, like you outplayed them in the first half, and you could have been up 4-0, but you lost 4 or 5. I don't know what was that. It was so hard.
It was 4-1. It was 4-1, and in the first half, I think we have like 12 shots and we score 1.
So maybe you just need to refine certain things, because even in this game, Martin denies it, but you had 3 chances, like point blank chances in the first few minutes. Like this game could have been over immediately. And
I don't know if over, but I think like I wouldn't be shocked if we like the first. Maybe I'll send you I have the game recorded, but I'm gonna lead it, but you can keep it for your record. But if you watch the first 5 minutes, you see like, oh man, Haaland almost scored that, and oh wow, Savinho almost scored that.
And Savinho is 1 year younger than you need him to be, because he had a chance. He had a chance, or created some chances, so he's not fully the player that Man City needs him to be. And maybe a year from now, he could be, or maybe later on in the season, he's got to finish. So, and Foden is not the guy he was last year. So, and he had a chance and he put it over the bar. He toe poked it over the bar. So these are all chances. Haaland hit the post late in the second half, and So, Martin, listen, you won, but the facts are, it wasn't as easy. The score says you drubbed them, and I'm down to say City get drubbed.
Here are the facts. 3-0 against Man U, 4-0 against City. We signed the ownership of Manchester. It was granted to us. We own Manchester. We own Manchester as the Spurs.
That's Spurs' problem. But don't you want to own the Premier League?
I do. I want it, but it might not happen during my lifetime.
You'll just settle for Manchester?
Speaking of facts, I've been doing some research while you guys have been talking about these things. Going back to the Haaland-Lewandowski debate.
Okay.
Assists since the 2021 season. So we're taking into account a little bit of their Bundesliga time each as well.
Please do.
It's only 35-34 in Lewandowski's favour. So one assist more in that time.
And remember, Haaland's playing on a team where they don't ask him to assist now. They just ask him to score. So he could definitely be as good as Lewandowski.
Same with Lewandowski, but the eye test, numbers is not everything. It's also that eye test. Lewandowski does look for the ball, does play with the ball. He does do a lot of additional things. He even
How do you know that's not what's being asked of him, though? Haaland might not be asked to do that.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's the other side of him, which we don't see that.
Listen, Martin.
Pep wouldn't sign a player that wasn't technically competent.
Yes.
That just wouldn't happen. Like, he wouldn't do that.
I think purely scoring-wise, he's better than Lewandowski. Purely scoring-wise. But as a complete player, Lewandowski is better than Haaland, in my opinion.
I just think it's what's being requested of him. And you know what will prove it? When Haaland goes to Barcelona and takes over Lewandowski's spot and does everything that Lewandowski is doing at an accelerated rate, that'll be the proof with Lewandowski's old coach Hansi Flick.
Hopefully one day Pep reveals the question. It's like, okay, who do you like? Who do you enjoy having more, Lewandowski or Haaland? Or something.
I think Aguero was better, as a matter of fact, in his prime than Haaland was as a player. But Haaland is a very good player. He just needs.
Well, Haaland is what we need.
That's not Haaland's fault. He is what he is. Well, let me say that he is who he is. He's great when he has good service from players and the problem is De Bruyne looks older. There's no Rodri. And a lot of players that were there before, even before Haaland got there, that made the whole engine going, are not there anymore. So they need to be replaced. They need to find another 6. They need to find another 8, to boost that part of the field. Those are the 2 positions where I would look, for reinforcements if I was at City.
I think, Martin, your theory kind of helps with solving what's wrong with City now. Because Haaland is just there to score. And they're almost City's playing down a man because before you had Rodri back there, so you don't need Haaland to come back into play and help defensively or just with anything else. But with Rodri out and Haaland staying up forward, maybe
that's exactly what I said.
Maybe you do but I'm just saying maybe you do need him now to come back a little bit. Maybe Pep needs to change his directive. But at the same time, Haaland had 5 gilt-edged chances in this game, and Haaland he started out the season with like 3 hat-tricks in a row. So it's just the day. I feel like it's the day you catch Haaland on, and Spurs got him on a good day for Spurs.
Let me put it this way. It's not just Lewandowski that I think is better. I think if you ask me if I wanted Harry Kane or Haaland playing as a center forward, I would say I would like Harry Kane.
I would never say that.
I would.
We're going to stay in the Prem. We're going to talk about Liverpool versus Man City next week. Next weekend. And then we can talk about the Champions League, Liverpool versus Real Madrid this week. Like we'll focus on these 2 games. So what are your thoughts this weekend coming up? Big game. We kind of talked about it. Alex, you're like, if we do this, we might win, put us back in the title race. It's first versus second. You're playing at Anfield. You're battered up. Like,
I can see this being like I wouldn't be surprised for any result. Like if Liverpool wins 5-0 against City, I'm not surprised. If City wins against Liverpool 5-0, I'm not surprised either. Because it'll be more like okay, can we do it? Yes. Is it gonna happen? I can also see like a super boring 0-0 because we don't want to lose another game and somehow Pep just plays the basics and say, you know what, I don't want to lose another game. Let's defend. Let's change the system. And so I don't know. I'm excited because I think like if we lose, season's over, and I'll still watch games, but I don't have to be like waking up 4 a.m. to watch Arsenal and stuff.
It's good to see you a little flustered and not so confident and not know what's going on. It's great. I like seeing City fans in Arsenal fan TV mode. What are your thoughts?
Hey, really quick, I had a question from the audience for you, because I posted on my story questions for the audience. Somebody asked me, like, basically, ask Ian if he thinks Liverpool or City are going to win the league. Meaning, one of them, not Arsenal.
I still feel, even though City is behind, where is City now? No, City's second, right? City's gone on a 4-game losing streak in the Premier League, and Arsenal's still behind them. So if Arsenal didn't take advantage of that, like, whenever else are they going to take advantage of that? Like down towards the end of the season, when City can really like avoid and deal with pressure and put pressure on people. So like Arsenal should have been and taken advantage of this like rut that Man City's in. So I would say it's more between Liverpool and City still than it is with Arsenal. And what do you guys' thoughts on Man City versus Liverpool next week?
Well, I think this will be an end of an era in football. I think Liverpool will put City out of their misery and force them to make changes in January. Of course, not changing Pep, but they need to get a. I don't know how it works now with this whole case about the. I need to ask you about this, Alex, because I didn't pay attention to all this legal stuff. Are they allowed to actually bring a player in January?
Yeah, it's like apparently like the decision is happening like sometime next year. So in January they can just
they need to bring a midfielder for sure. They have to.
Bring that's silly, because like even Rodri kind of like said, we need he said we're playing too many games. I need a replacement. We didn't get it, so now we gotta go.
Yeah, they need to bring a CM. A perfect player for them would be someone half, who can play both defensively and a little bit creatively. But if they get just a defensive midfielder, that's good too. But like someone like who Dario Silva was one 6-7 years ago, 8 years ago, someone like that would be perfect for City.
You know what messed City up? The Leeds player that they bought that didn't work out, Phillips, because he would have been like, normally Pep has a good picker, but everybody's picker can go bad. Alex Ferguson had bad picks. Wenger, like the time of elite coaches.
Remember Veron when he came to United? He was supposed to be the next
Yeah, and he was good where he was before, so you would expect it to just gel and United just keep rolling with a Varane added to the midfield, but it didn't work. So
Jemba, Kleberson.
Yeah. There's been some bad ones.
I partied with Jemba one time at the African Nations Camp. I was partying with Jemba. Very nice guy. He was buying me drinks.
Like at this point, I'll take Casemiro for United for like $2 million or something.
No, he's washed. Come on, have you seen him lately?
Yeah, no, but we get no one. So I'll give me him. Like I'll watch him play like back in his days in Madrid.
Yeah, your midfield is just as old as, like, you got Kovacic and Gundogan. Like Gundogan went away for one season to relax in Barcelona as a backup player.
Yet Kimmich is still solid.
What do you want to say, Lee?
The two I've seen linked with City for that role though are Zubimendi from Sociedad, who Liverpool tried to get in the summer but who turned them down. So he's been linked. And there's a young Italian midfielder at Torino, Ricci, who's apparently had all the scouts over there watching him. So who plays that role. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I kind of feel like there'll be a slight changing of the guard, but not until the summer, because I think that's when like De Bruyne will move on, even though he's not around right now anyway because of injury. It might be the time, maybe you see a couple of others move on at that point as well. So, Pep will start the recycling, and I think anything they can achieve this season sort of becomes a bonus. But yeah, so much hinging on this game at the weekend, because if Liverpool win, that's 11 points. And and is it 11 points over City, or is it over someone else?
11.
Yeah.
Well, they got 8 now, right?
Yeah. But if City win, it's down to 5. So it's two very different scenarios depending on how this game goes. So yeah, and I'm sure Liverpool could probably do without the Real Madrid game midweek before it. Although maybe it's a good thing because it keeps their levels high, and they're not getting to ease off at all. Who have City got this week?
I think we're playing Feyenoord tomorrow.
Okay, it is Feyenoord, yeah, and you're at home as well, so you don't even have to travel, which is nice. Is Liverpool Real Madrid at Anfield?
Yeah, Anfield.
Okay, so neither team has to travel as well, we're probably in for a good game.
Well, I'm not sure where the Real Madrid Liverpool game is. I was just thinking about
it's in Liverpool.
It's in Liverpool. All right. Oh man, you've been looking it up, huh? Word.
Well, I think City should be fairly comfortable against Feyenoord, so that one should be a stroll, I think, for them.
For sure.
I would take into account that City are desperate. They have Pep, and midweek Liverpool has to play Real Madrid. Home or not, that's a huge game, and they might be spent by the weekend. And like you should root for Liverpool to beat Real Madrid because they'll spend a lot of energy fan-wise and player-wise, and then having to play City. So I'm gonna lean City. But even if City lost this weekend to Liverpool, I feel like City, I don't know. They're just the FFP case, the injuries, De Bruyne, the missing Rodri, and just winning so many seasons in a row. They just might not have it this season. They might need to lose to get the appetite to win again. And Lee, did you give your vote on that? On the?
I mean, I can't call it.
Can't call it.
I kind of feel like Liverpool just go all out to try and sort of intimidate City pre-game in those ones as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like the fans always act up outside.
Yeah.
For the team buses as well. So maybe I'll be leaning slightly towards Liverpool, but I mean, yeah, I can't really call it. It's going to be a fun game as a neutral to just sit back and watch, to be honest.
Yeah, one thing I'm sure of is that the City bus is going to lose. It's going to take an L. It's going to take an ass whooping. What were you going to say, Martin?
Yeah, I think one thing about Liverpool that people maybe don't give them props, and they're kind of in a very comfortable position because they were not heavy favorites going to the season, and they're not playing with that much of a pressure. But I think I'm seeing that the players are maybe freed a little bit from the fact that Klopp was such a superstar, and he was in a way the biggest star of the football club, more than the players. And now that this manager doesn't take any accolades from them, he's kind of hidden in his behind, and so the players are the star, the team is the star, not the coach. And I think some of those players might be more comfortable with that.
What do y'all think about what Mo Salah said about his contract? I'm trying to find what did Mo Salah say about his contract.
He said he's more out than in because he's not had an offer.
If you were City, like Salah scored that goal, right? At the end of the match, ripped his shirt off to say, hey, you haven't contacted me about my contract, but look at this body. It's the body of a 25-year-old. If you don't want to sign this thoroughly in shape 30-something-year-old who has the genes of a 20-something-year-old, you're out of your mind. I don't think like he just took his shirt off just to celebrate that goal. I took it that he took that shirt off to show the people who have not given him a contract that he's in youth shape. And not only is he scoring goals, like he's the most lethal person on that team. And I know Douglas, is it Douglas Luiz or what's his name? Say again?
Luis Diaz?
Luis Diaz is amazing, but there's just no finisher like Salah on that team. And they got a ton of, he digs them, especially with this new system where they sit back and defend and get their shit together before they go forward. Like he's the
I
gilt
read
edge.
that this week he's getting his contract this week.
All right,
Like
I believe
basically
that.
because it's like, you know, you got Liverpool and City, kind of like perfect timing to throw it out.
Yeah, I would do that. I'd wait till after that game though. I'll tell you that. What do y'all feel about Liverpool versus Madrid midweek Champions League?
I mean, Liverpool need to be hoping that, you know, the Real Madrid that have been playing in La Liga show up rather than, because that traditional Real Madrid Champions League team, like they raise as soon as they hear that anthem, they raise their game. They got players who just show up in those moments. Whereas, you know, the league, they've not been quite as consistent. They've still been winning games, but yeah, again, it's a hard one. Like that front line hasn't really clicked yet with Mbappe in there. So who knows? Again, it's a really tough one to call because there's just so much quality on both teams. I don't even know if Liverpool are going to rotate at all before the City game, or it's a tough one. I mean, they can rotate some of the front line. You know, Diaz can come in and start instead of the players who've been starting. They can move around that way. But yeah, it's I can't again. It's another one. You know, you can call it whichever way, and there'd be a reason to justify calling it that way. I think I'm going to edge just Liverpool on this one as well, though, at home especially.
Martin, what do you think about Champions League, Real Madrid versus Liverpool midweek? Who you got in that?
I think Liverpool should win it, but at the same time, they have the City game that is crucial because it's almost like they can pretty much take one of the biggest competitors out of the race. So that should be probably a priority for them, the City game. In the Premier League, in the Champions League, they don't necessarily have to win this game, I think. So we'll see, you know, what kind of team will line up. Maybe he will make some changes just for this game and save some players for the City game. It's not impossible.
He kind of saved some players this week because the starting lineup versus Southampton, like he rested McAllister and he also rested, Luis Diaz. Like they didn't start the game. That's another thing I wanted to talk about in the Southampton game. Like the subs that Liverpool made on Southampton was just like, at that point, you're like, there's no way Southampton can continue to win this game with the people that Liverpool brought off the bench. And this is like, they're going to really need their depth. It's like, how egotistical is Onslaught? Like you said, Martin, they're at the top of the board in the Champions League. They can afford a loss in the Champions League more than they can afford a loss in the Premier League. But does Onslaught want to risk an L in the Champions League to almost guarantee him a win against Man City? Because, you know, like, will he won't he, will he type of thing? Or does he think I can win them both? You know, he's never been in this position before at this level. So we'll see what he does. Real Madrid, I think Vinicius got injured. I'm not sure. But if he's injured, then that whole left side of the pitch belongs to Mbappe. So he doesn't have to worry about competition or switching that much with whoever plays down the middle. And so this is a tough call. I can't call it either. Like Liverpool versus Real Madrid at Anfield midweek is a tough call.
I would say draw, probably 1-1. That would be my call.
All right, that's fair. I'll go with that. Do you want to do fantasy league?
Not really this week, but let's look at it anyway. One of the worst things for me was I had Pedro Porro on my bench with 14 points because I did not expect a Spurs clean sheet and him to score at Man City. But yeah, I mean, I didn't do that great. I mean, Watkins got a goal for me this week. I had a Gabriel clean sheet for For Arsenal, I had a Van den Berg clean sheet for Brentford, but that was about it for me. So I dropped a few places. Martin gained a small handful of points on me, but he's got to figure out a way to sort his goalkeeping out now because Vicario's out. But Saka was a big scorer for him. Got 13 points.
An Arsenal player?
Yeah. Yeah. Top of the league though, we've had a change at the top. Brian Avina, who've been top for about a month, he's dropped to second, and Ahmad Zekri is up because he captained Salah, and he had Saka as well, and he had Jackson, and he had Cunha for Wolves, who hit a couple of goals. So yeah, Ahmad, he's done the business this week. He's back on top spot. And Scott Cooper's up to third. So yeah, so move in this week from people that had the right people in.
That's good. Well, congratulations to the guys at the top of the table.
Yeah.
And I just want to ask a question about Pedro Porro. What's his link to City? Like, why didn't he celebrate his goal?
We bought him. We went send him to, I think we loaned him to Sporting, and then Spurs bought him.
Oh, so that's why I didn't celebrate that. He never played for y'all, right?
He played preseason.
He played what?
A couple of preseason games. Like he never played actually for like that. He never played like an official game with City.
Do you think that's weird that he didn't celebrate that goal just because of that?
Yeah, I even forgot. I was like, it's like you can celebrate, bro. Like, it won't hurt me.
Yeah, him not celebrating is the only reason now why I know that he was owned by City at all. So I don't know if that was his intention to let people know I was a City boy, but who knows? Anybody else got anything else that you think we should talk about this week before we sign off?
We should. MLS, as always.
Oh yeah.
LAFC out. That's a crazy part about that. Some players don't understand. You know, like coming to MLS, that you can have a great season, and then the playoffs start, and one game and you're out, and that's exactly what happens. And I don't know. Like I want to talk to you guys about it. You know, because like I'm kind of changing my approach. I think it shouldn't be like this. You know, it's the only league in the world where you work for 7 months for something, and then it doesn't count really. Because you should
want this in the Premier League because Spurs might have a chance then.
Southampton could have had a chance too. You know, especially, can you imagine if you played Liverpool now in the first round of the playoffs, and that's the end of the playoffs?
They wouldn't get to the playoffs. All right. Sorry, but y'all wouldn't even make it to the playoffs. The way
no. We wouldn't even make it to the play-ins.
Yeah,
we would be way down. Could be a LA New York final though.
Yeah, the teams that are still in the competition are not even the top teams, you know, and they're very flawed teams. And LFC is out.
Who knocked them out?
Miami's out.
Who knocked LAFC out?
Seattle. And you know what's funny? Because I've seen Drew Carey a month ago. A friend invited me. I went to actually see the Price is Right taping. And he was talking to him and a bunch of us, and he said, "I'm a co-owner of Seattle Sounders, but we have this one team that is in our way every single year. He's our kryptonite. It's LAFC. Whenever we play LAFC, we cannot beat them, and it looks like we might play them again in the playoffs. And finally, they beat them.
That's good for them. And the Galaxy's still in there, right? I saw them celebrating.
Actually, great. Marco Reus is playing great with Puke. The two of them are killing the league. They might actually win the title.
So the Western Conference final is LA Galaxy versus Seattle. Galaxy finished second in the regular season in the West. Seattle finished fourth. And then on the other side, you got New York Red Bull, who finished seventh in the regular season against Orlando City, who finished fourth in the regular season.
Orlando must be like happy to have to compete in the same state as Miami, right? And nobody talks about them. And they made it to the conference final, and they're like what's all this Miami talk now with your Messi and with your Busquets and your Suarez? Like, what's up now? Like, so they must really want to make it to the final and win to like shit on Miami, and that would be crazy. But I do want the New York team to go through, and it would be good to see like a coast to coast, East Coast, West Coast final. Yeah. Yeah, I like Puig, always like Puig. I felt like he got dealt dirty.
I love when he gets interviewed because his voice always cracks me up.
Oh, yeah? What about him cracks you up?
Oh, you haven't heard him, like, his voice? It's like he's inhale, like, almost sounds like inhale helium before he speaks. Like, he's just, you gotta listen to the interview. He sounds so funny.
Hilarious. I gotta go check out some of his interviews. But yeah, I'm gonna try to check out those, at least a Galaxy joint. I want to see Puig play and hook up with Ruse. I've seen Puig play for the Galaxy live, and he was the best player on the pitch by far. And I used to love him at Barcelona. I thought he matched the level. I don't know why they hated on him like that, but who knows? Anything else?
No, good from me.
Good. All right. Well, it's good to see City in a crisis, but this is the crisis part of all their seasons before they win the league. And it's almost like City is a TV drama, and they figure out a way how to make you believe each season that they're not going to win the league. And this year they cranked up the drama by getting Rodri injured. De Bruyne is only a quarter at his powers, and they don't have Alves to swap in with Haaland, and it just looks like it's so early, but they make it look like they can't win this thing, and then they do their thing. I don't believe this year they can do their thing, but if they did it, I wouldn't be surprised. But City, the way you script this shit every year to rope-a-dope us and make us believe you ain't gonna win it is mwah, because we get sucked in and we believe it, and it's gonna really hurt Arsenal if you pull this off. And
did he just drop their documentary? I think like it drops today or maybe tomorrow. About like it's called Together 4 in a Row. So it's like you guys have Amazon, can watch it.
Won't be watching.
I know you watched the previous ones, Ian.
Will not be watching.
What documentary? What documentary? Sorry.
It's like the City winning 4 leagues in a row for the first time, like a team winning 4 leagues in a row and stuff.
I can't wait till the trial is over and you lose 4 leagues in a row.
We'll make a documentary about that too, man. Don't worry.
You won 4 leagues in a row. Wait till the law makes you lose 4 leagues in a row.
Guys, I still don't see how Liverpool can lose that title. I think they're gonna cruise for it. I think they're if they beat City, that's the only way it can go wrong for them if they don't win this next game. But if they beat City in the next game, it's over, man.
How many games left, Martin? This league is long.
But the teams are flawed. The Arsenal is flawed. You know, there's not like the teams are not that great. You know, like they're all.
That's
flawed.
what we said. That's what I'm thinking. Like I don't see Liverpool cruising. I don't see Liverpool being as good as before.
Because they're the most compact team. They're the most organized. The most they know exactly what they're doing every single game.
Yeah,
they have experience. They have experience from last season where they were in the race 3 to 4 weeks up. So it's not like some of the players have won before, and some of them, the new ones, they were in a race last season. So now they have a new coach, and this team reminds me of when Conte took over Chelsea. Like I predicted on that show that season at the beginning that Chelsea would win, because like, why wouldn't they? They had all the pieces that they won the year before, you know, when the year before. So it's like, why wouldn't they win? And they won. But Conte has way more credentials than Slot. But Slot is saying all the right things. So he's the top of the table in 2 leagues so early. But like, you can't predict this shit. This has to play out for us to see what's really going to happen. So it's just intriguing. So we'll see. Anybody got anything they want to plug? Any movies, Martin, you're about to drop?
No, but you can watch Voice of Shadows. I think it's on Amazon and Apple. The movie actually I have one of the main roles and got some.
What's it called?
Voice of Shadows.
All right.
It's a mystery horror film.
All right, check that out. Maybe watch that tonight. Sounds like a good Christmas movie. Lee, got anything? Any shows?
Oh, I've got plenty of shows. I'll be posting my December stuff up on Instagram soon. So yeah, Lee Hudson Comedy on there.
What about you, Alex?
I'm shooting like I wouldn't call it comedy special, but I'm like doing like a live taping on December's. I forgot the date, but first weekend of December.
All right, very professional of you to not remember the date. That's cool.
Actually, can I come back to something very quick?
Go ahead.
Yeah, because I was about to ask you guys because I was thinking about it. Would you think it would be better for MLS to not have the playoffs?
No, because I think like every American sport has playoffs, so I think like it'll be strange not to have it.
I think have playoffs, but just the top team from each conference has a like a grand final. The two conference winners.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I feel like the MLS went full NBA too fast. Like they act like they've been in existence as long as the NBA, and now they have pretty much an identical playoff system like that they didn't earn.
Actually,
and they need to shorten it.
Fair, because it's like when you lose one game, you're out. Like LFC, they lost one game. You know, in NBA, sometimes a bad like the 8th seed wins one game. Then
but I'm talking about the play-ins for teams that shouldn't even be in the playoffs. Like at the beginning of the, you know what I mean? Like why do you have play-ins already? You know, like if you didn't do that well, it should be. This league should be promoting its best teams as much as possible to keep growing it. It shouldn't be like, let's go down to the bottom and give somebody in the bottom a chance, you know? All right. But all right, we're going to be out. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for joining. Fun conversations and thoughts. We'll see you next weekend, and you know we'll see what happens. Congratulations, Martin and Spurs, and I hope you don't take your loss next week. To who you playing next week? That's hard.
Fulham.
I think
they got next.
Yeah, and Fulham's pissed that they lost to Wolves. So yeah, but all right, Lee. See you. Thanks for joining. Press